are you to be brilliant, talented, gorgeous, fabulous? Well, who are you not to be? I'm going to keep quoting things from Our Greatest Fear, the poem by Marianne Williamson, because it just rings so true for me. I realize I do have a fear of showing my full self and all that I'm capable of doing, for fear of trying to make it seem like I'm shining my light too brightly or something like that. And that's not to say, that's not to be conceited or anything, but it's just, I want you to think about, who are you, and are you afraid to let your light shine? Let us not be afraid any longer. Our next guest, Miss Celsa Stallworth, is letting her light shine in the area of social justice. I will let her tell us some more. Hi, Celsa.
Hi, Falami. Oh, thank you so much for inviting me. Wow, that quote that you just did was amazing. I was like, wow, who am I? And it totally resonated with me. Um, a little bit about myself. I am 34 years old. I am mother of an 11-year-old and a 3-year-old, happily married for 11 years. And that has defined me for quite a bit of time. In the recent years, I have actually, like I said, stopped tripping over myself, you know, and grown in the social justice field, the advocacy field for our community in Central Alabama. Advocacy has become a big part of my life. Working with the unrepresented community is a strong, it's just so strong for me. It's beautiful. It's like my life calling to be able to do what I love and get paid for it. It's amazing. I love it. I work at a nonprofit, the Hispanic Interest Coalition of Alabama, and we want to build bridges between the immigrant community and the local community, and advocate for justice, for economic justice, for social justice, for civic engagement for all here in Alabama. And it's definitely an upstream battle, but every day it's worth it.
What made you decide to step into this arena?
Wow, I feel that it's always been my calling. I've always had the want, actually the need to share what I know, the knowledge that I have, the resources that I'm aware of, ever since I was a little girl, being a community translator at 8 years old, or a community interpreter at 8 years old. Going to doctor's office, courthouses, and interpreting for my community because of the language barrier. So I always knew that there was a need, right? And my want to fill that need has always been there. Initially, I wanted to work in the medical field to lessen the gap in minority disparities in rural Alabama. And life has brought me under a different path, but I'm still definitely building to lessen that gap.
Okay. So what did you do before?
I worked financial institutions for 7 years. So I was good at my job. I knew how to do my job well. There's a structure and policies and procedures you follow. And following those it's a good paying job. But that was it. Like day in and day out, I couldn't wait to come home and pick up my children and, just meet someone else's goals. It's just, I can't even explain it because there's no words to explain in that situation, but it's just, you're there.
Mm-hmm. Right. How did you make the decision to move into what you're doing now?
It was scary when I decided to leave the financial field. I'll admit to that. But one day it was like, I'm through with it anymore. I'm not doing finances, right? Working for big banks. And I submitted an application for a women's organizer at HICA. And that was the beginning of what's been beautiful chapters in my life, definitely.
What is it that you do at this organization?
I started off as a women's organizer, which is organizing the community and building leadership among women in the Hispanic community in Central Alabama. A wonderful job because you create safe spaces for women to come and be themselves and just to talk about who they are, to gain that self-confidence and knowledge. And in the process, we talk about the resources available to the community, the help that they can find. Because what we're doing is we're not only building their confidence, we are creating leaders of our community, mothers that are leaders of the family, mothers that are leaders of church groups, mothers that are leaders of their neighborhoods. The Latina leadership, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So that is so inspirational. Like, I grew so much from them. I was the one sharing the knowledge that I have gained, but I was growing from them as well. Because in that process, I embraced my culture. Soy Mexicana, soy India, right? But I'm also a Southern girl, Alabamian, and it's all me. And I was able to embrace it by seeing their loving culture. So I helped organize that to build that community leadership amongst our Latina women. Like I said, a beautiful, beautiful position. I have since migrated and I'm actually a financial coach, micro lending officer, because we are creating access to capital for entrepreneurs. You know, we're lessening the gap there because, as you know, a lot of people in our Black and Brown communities don't have access to the financial resources because of various different reasons, right? And one of them being is we don't have access to resource and capital. So we have different programs that give entrepreneurs access to that capital for startup money, for startup or to continue building their small businesses. And in the process, we do financial coaching for them as well. So
that is so very needed. I'm grateful for people like you that are out there doing it and not just doing it for a paycheck, and they're doing it because I'm assuming that you have to love it, because it's not one of those things that are, you know, highly monetarily rewarding. It's something that you have to do because you're passionate about it. And I'm looking forward to being in that space where I love what I do. So that's why I love to speak to people like you, because it's so inspiring to see you light up when you talk about what you have to do as a job. So thank you so much, for coming to speak with us today. What are the two biggest lessons that you learned in your journey here at this job?
I have learned, to put it my way, to appreciate and love myself, the entirety of myself. That means where I come from, who I am right now, and where I'm headed, right?
Right.
And that's sometimes that we want acceptance from what society deems us to do. However, we are unique people. We are ourselves, right?
Right.
And breaking away from that has been extremely hard in a growth process. But because I am around people that appreciate me, that appreciate themselves, their uniqueness, it definitely has seen me do that. I've embraced my culture so much. I've researched and learned about my roots. Just the fact that I'm able to still go and step on my ancestral land for my grandmothers and great grandmothers and put my feet in that soil is beautiful, that I'm able to take that to my daughters and pass it on and teach them to be proud Afro-Latinas and what it means to do that. Our cultures are gorgeous. Likewise, because I've grown as a person, I've grown with my relationship with my husband and my daughters. We're able to express and just communicate better. So that's definitely accepting myself as who I am. Definitely. Also knowing that everyone is an individual. Just because I feel that owning a house is a goal of mine, it doesn't mean that that's everyone's goal. What if an individual wants to travel and they don't feel the need to invest in a house, right? Because they feel it's going to take away freedom from them. Who am I to say, no, invest in a house? And sometimes that's our thing. What we feel is the right thing, we want to impose that on others. But no, Everyone has their own path.
Please say
What
it.
we can do, we can just have a discussion
Mhm.
and figure out what values are and go from there. We're all learning from each other.
Whew, I couldn't have said it better. Thank you very much, Celsa. Okay, we met in college, and you have been very near and dear to my heart ever since, even though we don't even speak all that often. But I tell you what, when you know a good person and when you see a good spirit, a good soul, oh, you know it. So thank you so much for coming to take the time with us today, Celsa. Hey, you, yeah, you, get out of your way